No thanks, who you're trying to fool. Okay, so I did get requested to review this, and I had no intention of doing it. But hey, why not, I guess. So, Big Finish's Class is finally being released. Out of, the little amount of people who actually did bother to watch all of Class, how many of those actually were asking for this? But to be fair, if anyone can do Class, any justice and do something good with it, then obviously Big Finish is the way to go. I had initially completely zero interest in buying Class. The only reason I bought the second box set, Volume 2, is because of the story that was put on there, which is what I'm reviewing here, called In Remembrance, which initially was pitched as a sort of teased as a sort of sequel to Remembrance of the Daleks, though it isn't actually that. I'll explain more in a minute. And this literally, it feels like Big Finish. The only reason they did that is so that people like me would buy it, and it worked. I bought it. And do I regret it? A little bit, yeah, actually. And it has not made me want to listen to the other two stories on the box set, to be honest. And In Remembrance is the last story in this Big Finish double release that they're doing at the minute. So it's the third story in the Volume 2 box set. And basically, it is not a sequel to Remembrance of the Daleks. It technically takes place during Remembrance of the Daleks. And Class, the Big Finish Class box set, takes place during Series 1. I believe it's somewhere between episodes 3 and 4, or around about that time. Somewhere along those lines. I don't know, it's like early to mid way through Series 1 that this box set and that takes place. And I haven't listened to the first two stories of this box set, and to be honest, I don't need to in order to get to listen to this, since it's a standalone. So I won't. Because after listening to this one, it gives me every reason not to. So, In Remembrance, if you remember the premise of Class, basically, where cracks and rifts and that opening time and things come through these cracks. And what happens in the story is Miss Quill and Charlie. Is his name Charlie? I'm going to have to look. Yes. Yeah, so Miss Quill and Charlie enter the school at night because Miss Quill, one of Miss Quill's booby traps that she set, her personal ones, not the school's alarm system, she set her own additional ones, had been set off. And obviously, this, of course, it's just like they were smart enough to avoid the school's alarms and security, but, they still triggered hers. And who do they find? Well, they find a middle-aged ace in a party dress. And then suddenly a crack opens and an Imperial Dalek comes through. And then it's literally a runaround for an hour. No, I'm not joking. That's literally this story literally plays on your nostalgia like you won't believe. It's literally a nostalgia, basically, gritting thing. Because Charlie gets stuck in 1963 during the events of Remembrance of the Daleks, particularly during the events of episode 2 is where he is stuck at. So episode 2, Remembrance of the Daleks, and you get a few little nostalgic bits. It's like, oh look, you get a scene where Ace is breaking in to the school to go fight some Daleks, the young Ace, and oh look, this is the classroom that Ace, bashed the Dalek High School, and you get a sort of recreation of with when Ace in Remembrance of the Daleks, you get a recreation of when Ace blinds an Imperial Dalek. You get a recreation with that with Charlie, except rather than using a baseball bat, Charlie uses some acids and blinds a Dalek, and it shoots in all directions. And it's just like it's just playing on your nostalgia. That's all it is. Essentially, the first I'd say the first like 60-70%, yeah, around about 70% of this story is literally Ace and Miss Quill running away from an Imperial Dalek. That is literally most of this story, is just run away from an Imperial Dalek. That's it. And then, and also I'm going to put spoiler warnings, obviously, but I should have maybe done that at the start, but regardless, it's just, it's just a bit, kind of. I mean, what do I say about this? It's very meh. And also, Miss Quill is just as unlikable as she was in class, which is one of the main reasons I do not want to listen to the rest of this box set, and I'm not going to, because she is a horrible person, really, with no real redeeming factors. They try and they literally give reason after reason on why she is like this, but it's just splurting a load of exposition out that I don't really care about because I'm not invested in the character. If you got me invested in the character in the first place, then maybe I'd care. I mean, the thing is, like, why do this? She isn't likable at all, and she isn't one of those people who you love to hate either. She's just really irritating. And there's nothing I can really more say about that. She's just irritating throughout this. And Charlie barely exists in this story. He basically, once he gets sucked off to the past and that, he's basically just running away from some Daleks as well. And that's it. That's all he does. He just runs away from some Daleks and then just keeps saying, "Oh, I wish the doctor was here. Oh, where's the doctor? Where's the doctor? I need the doctor here." And pretty much comes across as effectively useless. Like, the only thing he does is he blinds a Dalek. That's the only thing he does in this entire story, is blind a Dalek. That is all he does. He does. It's just like, why? He's pretty much completely useless. He does absolutely nothing. He contributes nothing to the story. In fact, the only thing he does contribute is a dilemma, because Miss Quill has to get Charlie back because she is his protector. That is literally, if Charlie was not stuck in the past, then basically this story would have been over a lot quicker. And to be honest, I would have been thankful for that. Is there anything good about this? Well, Sophie Aldred as Ace is enjoyable as ever, and it's actually quite satisfying hearing her basically talk down Miss Quill. Basically, unlike other people, she is not taking her shit. She puts, Miss Quill in her place, pretty much, and it's something that I think that the series needed. Basically, it's kind of like where you have something to counteract. For example, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like Evelyn Smythe counteracting the Sixth Doctor, to mellow him out a bit. I think that's the best way to sort of describe it. But, other than that, yeah. So anyways, more spoiler warnings. Ace manages to lure the Dalek into a chemistry lab where she uses some Nitro 9 to blow the Dalek up. Although the Dalek isn't dead, and basically the Dalek and Miss Quill make a deal in order for her to basically repair the Dalek's motive units so that it's able to take her back to 1963 to obviously collect Charlie and come back to 2016. Now, obviously, Ace is just like, no, you can't do this. You cannot trust a Dalek. And she's absolutely right. And the thing is that they then try and play it up with a revelation, which I'll explain in a second. But she does fix the Dalek. Apart from the weapon, she doesn't fix the weapon. But she brings this Dalek back to, the Dalek and her go back to 1963. And this Dalek, while it was in present day, there's a reference to Dalek where the Imperial Dalek absorbs the internet and absorbs information, and is basically going to give that information to the Imperial Dalek Task Force in 1963, so they can't be defeated. So it's one of those kind of plots. However, that plot ends up going absolutely nowhere, because as soon as they get back to 1963, we have a scene where the military basically just blew up all the Daleks, as you saw and also hear in the background and at the start of episode 3 of Remembrance of the Daleks. And and then it's the thing that Miss Crow's just like, I knew this was going to happen. I knew you would all blown up, and that's would all get destroyed in that, and that's why she did it, because they try and play it up like, oh, she's thinking ahead. She knows that that history, will happen. And Iska says, no, you don't. Because for one, history can change, history can be rewritten, so pretty much they wrote themselves out of it. They try to have a moment where Miss Crow's sort of being clever, and they sort of wrote themselves out of it. It's a shame because I'm sounding like I hate this story. I don't hate it. But I don't like it particularly either. It's just very middle of the road. It's like one of those stories I can just, happily enough listen to when I'm walking my dog, and that's what I did. I listened to this while I was walking my dog. And to be honest, it's one of those stories that just, it kills an hour. That's literally it. It's one of those stories that just kills an hour. And that, it's all right. It wasn't so awful that you didn't want to stop listening to it, but wasn't good enough that you'd ever want to listen to it again. It's just one of those things that is incredibly forgettable. And to be honest, it's nothing that you haven't heard before. It recycles so many ideas. It recycles stuff from Dalek. It recycles, obviously, a lot of stuff from Remembrance of the Daleks and that. It just feels like a ton of different references, a ton of different things from the past just sort of gelled together in the hope that you'll actually listen to this. And also, Miss Quill and Charlie, they're the only ones from class in this story. The rest of them aren't in this. And to be honest, I think that's its one advantage, that I think the cast of class was far too large, so I think it being compact to just a couple of characters and that at a time, I think helps balance it out a lot more. And, to be honest, this story was written by Guy Adams as well. And Guy Adams normally puts out really pretty good stories. And I wouldn't say this is bad, but I'll be honest, it does have sort of the feel of Class, though this is infinitely better than any episode of Class that the BBC put out. Infinitely better than that. But the thing is, if you're a fan of Class, you're not going to like this. Because it's not the... It feels different from Class. It feels different from that. Thing is, though, if you're a Doctor Who fan or a Big Finish fan, you're not going to particularly like this either, because it's still got some, a few of the elements from Class, like Miss Quill's, just a horrible, heartless bitch, as always, and Charlie is like a nothing character. So, what do I say about this? It's one of those stories where it's just like, this is easily the one that draws people towards it. It's like when they put the 8th Doctor in the Diary of River Song box set, or, I don't know, they put the Ice Warriors in the 10th Doctor Volume 2 box set, which actually, to me, ended up being the weaker story of the second box set. So it's just like, it's trying to play on your nostalgia. I mean, for £15 for the digital, or £20 for the CD, which is limited to 500, I believe, the CD, is it worth it buying it if you just wanted to listen to that story? Because At the end of the day, it adds nothing to Remembrance of the Daleks at all. Literally adds nil to Remembrance of the Daleks, because nothing at all, is completely irrelevant to it. Because it isn't a sequel, it's just something. It's literally one of those things where it's just like, how can we squeeze in a story here during the events of this well-established story or this established series? And the thing is, Big Finish have done this in the past. Like, I remember Masters of Earth takes place during the Dalek invasion of Earth, and also a few other Dalek stories take place during the Dalek invasion of Earth, generally written by Nick Briggs. But and speaking of Nick Briggs is actually really good in this, actually, and his Dalek voices are different. They are made to sound more like the Imperial Daleks. He does, and he says in the interview, he tried to be more like Roy Skelton, particularly in this one, in terms of Roy Skelton's Imperial Daleks. And you know what? Nick Briggs and Sophie Aldred is the best part of the story. So I enjoyed them throughout. They were really good. But other than that, it's an easy skip. You're not missing anything if you don't listen to it. You're literally not missing anything at all, because at the end of the day, nothing really has any consequences. Nothing happens. And that, everything that happens is just done. And that it adds nothing to Remembrance of the Daleks. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching this review. Let me know what you think of Class. Let me know if you're going to buy this box set or not. I will not be reviewing the other ones, because I won't even listen to the other ones, because after listening to this one, the only thing I enjoyed about it was Sophie Aldred and Nicholas Briggs as the Daleks, and they're not in the other story, so to be honest, I am not putting up with the others. So yeah, unfortunately, because the thing is, and you might think I'm being a bit harsh, but I gave Class every fucking opportunity I could. I watched every single episode at least twice to give it a fair chance. I watched it initially, didn't like it, and then about a month later I decided, you know what, maybe I was a bit too harsh on it, maybe I was expecting too much, why don't I watch it again? And when I did watch it again, I hated it even more the second time. And this just I was trying to think, was Class as bad as I thought? And this is kind of reminds me, yes it was, unfortunately. Just, in my opinion, don't spend your money on this, really. Like, unless you're an actual fan of Class and you really absolutely have to have it, I won't buy it, because it's not really even made for the fans of Class either, because it's a Big Finish spin on Class, so it doesn't have the exact same things that people who loved it on TV have here. So that's that. But I mean, there are other things, better things to spend your money on. So anyway, that's it for this review, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.